Hello my friends, I hope you had a fantastic day or night wherever you are. Today we're back for Family Fun Day once again. I shot mostly on the screen, but also on the EVF when it came to telephoto tracking shots, but also when it's really sunny like it is today, you're unable to see the screen at all. So this is where you need an external monitor or an EVF. Thankfully, the GH5 has an EVF. And welcome to something I tried on a wildlife vlog that was released yesterday at the time of recording, that I thought I would bring over to the event stuff that we're doing. So what I try to do when I tackle an event like Family Fun Day or anything else like that is go and get my establishers. Now, those who may not know the term in filmmaking, it's basically a wide perspective to show people entering the area or show where this event is going to be taking place, in this case Hudson's Field. And then it normally leads into me trying to get more candid documentary-esque style that really fits my style of filmmaking, be a fly on the wall kind of perspective, so show what's going on. So as you would have just seen a few minutes ago, we were able to get some of the kids kind of playing on the circus equipment. We also then kind of went over to the event arena to get some of the dancing that was also going on, and then we kind of popped backwards and forwards because there was a football tournament going on, there was a rugby tournament going on, there was obviously this circus performance stuff. And I was asked by one of the gentlemen who brought me down to do the event again. So we were the media partners for Family Fun Day this year. We were media partners for the last couple of years actually. And one of the requests they had from last year versus this year was to see if we can incorporate some of the sponsors that obviously help run the event and bring in money to allow the event to run. This event itself was a fundraiser for Salisbury Hospice, and if I recall correctly, I'll leave the official numbers in the description down below if I get it wrong, but I believe it was £30,000 that they raised on the day, so congratulations to them. And of course there was a full-on football tournament and a full-on rugby tournament as well. Now, slight difference in this year versus last. Last year they had the football and the rugby tournaments in the same bottom of the rugby pitches, actually just down from Hudson's Field, and they had them at the bottom of the pitch, so they were basically just doing the football in two pitches and the rugby at the far end. This year they had them in the full rugby pitch at the very far end, so that obviously helped because they had more rugby setup rather than necessarily just the football in that respect. So what I tried to do here was started off the event on the Sigma 18 to 35. That allows me to get this wider perspective. It's a really low f-stop, a really low aperture lens, so it allows me to get that blurry background at wide fields of view, so your 18 mils, 24 mils, etc. Tried to weave in some of the music that was going on as well, because that was obviously really important to showcase the event. What we tried to do here was try to get show how busy it was, try to show how long the queues were, maybe a little versatile in drinks, but also wherever possible tried to show some of that hospice charity branding in there as well. And of course the Family Fun Day branding they had on glasses as well, so we wanted just to show that variation. Lots of people in behind the scenes will spend a lot of their time, a lot of their energy creating this material, creating these logos and creating these branded cups to really help with branding. And you should think about this when you're going about filming them. Also, something which is really important is to give the atmosphere. Careful of your highlights when shooting outside on a sunny day like this, hence why I'm using an ultra density filter that you can see on the front of the lens. But just be careful when shooting in bright sunlight, because it can be really easy to clip your shadows. That gentleman was just apologising walking through the frame, but what I was actually wanting is to get kind of mingling happening around one of the main sponsors, is signage. This was a great shot of a balloon, and it's just about creating that atmosphere. So for me, it's always a good idea to think about obviously the story that you're trying to tell. What kind of sounds are you listening for? What kind of sounds are you hearing when you're on set? you know, what kind of vibe, are people laughing, are people happy, people dancing, that kind of thing, and really capture that atmosphere. A percentage of that is going to come from your sound design, but also it's going to be about getting a variation in shots. And obviously I've got some really cute shots, like this kid having ice cream. Didn't actually get an ice cream on the day, was way too busy and needed both hands, but also getting a variation in shots as well, where you could really capture some wide perspectives to show cues, for example, and then some closer, more intimate details, such as, for example, these guys getting their face painted, or what should be coming up shortly after this as well, which is some food getting prepared as well. And as you can see, the food is here, and from what I heard from people who I spoke to on the day, food was pretty incredible, so well done to all the vendors. It's just getting little detail stories here, and seeing, you know, the little tight shots as well. I didn't do a lot of slow-mo filming when I filmed this, but some of the time, if there's stuff like that sauce pool, for example, you can, or something like that sprinkling, consider whether it would be better to reshoot something in slow motion if you want to emphasize that movement specifically. And then, as I saw that there was another event shortly to take place over in the event arena, I thought I would head back, but this was shortly after switching to the 18-200, which is at the moment my go-to event lens, because it gives me a huge amount of coverage in regards to millimeter range without too much extra hassle. Now, of course, you're going to sacrifice for that range, for that amount of range in that respect, so you can get really, really close and really, really wide. I'm going to sacrifice some background blur, I'm going to sacrifice some aperture, but that's why I carry the Sigma as well. Now, I noticed, and it was getting really, really bright outside, so I basically couldn't see the screen. This is mostly because of the GH5 not having a bright enough screen. You can obviously turn the brightness up, but for me it was just going to kill the battery, so I just switched to the EVF. And one of the benefits of me shooting a lot more wildlife nowadays is that actually I can track human subjects who move pretty slower in comparison to a bird in flight, for example. I can track them a lot better than previously, especially using the EVF to add that extra point of stabilization. As you can see here, all of these shots at, I think it was about 135mm there or thereabouts, are all handheld with just image stabilization turned on the GH5. Then we headed down to the rugby pitch and got some similar shots of obviously the rugby tournament that was going on down the other end. And something I find that's really important here is it doesn't really matter if your shots are not 100% super clean, as long as you're tracking motion. And it's, again, the question you should be asking is, what story are we trying to tell here? How are we trying to highlight this event? How does these shots that I'm getting here tell the story that these guys are clearly playing rugby? What role does that play in the event? And how does it add to that atmosphere in that respect? But also I showed them one end of the pitch running all the way down and getting a try into them, also then the other team pushing down towards the other end as well. So these are things just to be mindful of when filming rugby specifically, but any sport in that regard as well. It's always, when we do filmmaking like this, always about what story are we trying to tell. Get variations in whether it's full body, mids, people tight, people close to you, move around. The logic I follow is if I feel like I've been stood in the same place for too long, I'll move, because clearly that point of view is not working as well for me. So I always try and move every 20 to 30 seconds when I haven't been filming. So if I'm not actually getting any shots, sort of just get to the point where I'm like, okay, cool, this place was cool, but we're going to need to move, because clearly I'm not getting the sight lines, I'm not getting the inspiration, I'm not seeing it with my eye. And for those who are starting out, this is something which you're just going to have to learn, and you're just going to have to do with practice and hours and investing that time into really understanding what are you looking for, how to capture it. And it'll be the same for photography, because even with photography you're still trying to tell that story. And for me, something that I found really helpful as well, even when shooting on those more telephoto lenses, just as we head back up to the main area where the live music was, is still shooting on lens support, having that focus ring a little bit closer to me. So on the 18-200 that I'm filming on in this part of the video, the focus ring is swapped with the zoom ring, which is actually my preference of it being around, because it means the focus ring is closer to me, which means I can actually bring in my arms a lot closer, tense my arms, and allow me to add another point of contact, or be able to really bring the camera closer to me, so I can have that just another way of stabilizing the camera, especially when you're shooting it, you know, 70mm, 80mm, 100mm, 110mm, 135mm, 200mm, whatever you end up shooting at, or even in more telephoto. But I would say, in my experience, probably around 200mm. You're probably going to need to be on a tripod if you want to get really usable footage, because yes, the stabilization's good, but it's not going to be that good. And yes, you're carrying more kit around, yes, you're locked off a bit more, yes, you're a bit more stuck, but the footage that you'll get and the stabilization of that footage is just going to be better, because you're at kind of the bounds of what I feel is personally possible, even if you are super strong in that respect. But feel free to test it, test out your lenses, test out your IBIS, etc. And again, what I'm looking for up here is just more event, kind of what's happening, what's the event, how can I build atmosphere. They had some stuff for kids, so, you know, bounce castle, slide, etc. So whenever you do shoot something like this, try to shoot a couple of tighter perspectives, but also then a wider perspective as well. And the same with the slide, we'll do the same again, so we're going to get a wider perspective, but then also showing off the kids having a great time sliding down that slide. And yeah, it's always good fun sliding on the slide. And I think we wrap up the rest of this edit just by getting a couple more handoffs, a couple more bits of food vendors, and etc. like that. So I hope you did enjoy this edit, and I hope you're enjoying the vlogs. I'm constantly trying to make them better, constantly try to adapt them, and I'd be open to hear any feedback. So really appreciate the time, energy and resources that you guys obviously give the channel, and hopefully enjoying the content that we're creating. So thank you ever so much for joining me, and enjoy the rest of this footage, and I'll hand back to Past Me to sign off this video. Thank you for watching, ladies and gents. I hope you took value from today's shooting experience. If you did, and you would like to hear how video can help your business in 2024, I'll leave my information somewhere around this video, and I'll see you very soon.